Hello and welcome to Ron's World. Today I'm taking you on a week-long mountain biking vacation to the beautiful West Kootenay region of British Columbia.
This trip plan will be suitable for intermediate to expert level riders. I've now ridden in this region 4 separate times, and I continue to return here due to the incredible scenery, the fabulous mountain bike trails, great friendly small town atmosphere, and outstanding restaurants and local craft breweries. It's a great destination to hang out any time between mid-July and early October. The biking trails are typically at higher elevations, generally over 1,000 meters, and can get into the 2,000 meter range for the higher trails. So it's a short but fabulous riding season. The monthly weather profile shown here for Nelson is fairly typical of the entire region. You've probably heard about the more famous bike riding region in Whistler and on Vancouver's North Shore, but I'd argue that the trails in the West Kootenay region might be even better, and hanging out in these interesting former mining towns is way less expensive and hectic than Whistler. For this week vacation plan, I suggest starting in Revelstoke en route to the West Kootenay region. Revelstoke's about a 4-hour drive from Calgary and a 6-hour drive from Vancouver. So if you're planning to fly into this region, you can find ample international flights into either Vancouver or Calgary. We will drive to Revelstoke for 2 days of riding, then head south on Highway 23 through Nakusp and New Denver en route to Nelson. We'll ride for 2 days in Nelson, 1 day in Castlegar, and then wind up with 2 final days in Rossland. And before we talk about the recommended trails, if you haven't already got it, I would strongly suggest you download the Trailforks app onto your phone. This app will help you locate the trailhead parking lot and provide your GPS location throughout the ride to ensure you don't get lost while on the trail. It also provides a brief description of the ride and has scenic photos and videos of the trail. It also offers you an elevation profile to see how steep the climbs and descents might be. For days 1 and 2, we'll start our trip in Revelstoke, a town of about 8,000 people. Revelstoke has built a world-class reputation for living and playing in a spectacular and historic mountain setting. It's located on the mighty Columbia River and the Trans-Canada Highway between the sensational Monashee and Selkirk mountain ranges. Our first ride will be in the intermediate flow trails at Frisbee Ridge and Frisbee Vista. We'll start with a climb of about 500 meters up from the parking lot to gain the alpine level, where we will see spectacular sweeping views of the surrounding mountain ranges. Then we'll get to rip down this fun, fast, flowy trail. On day 2, we will ride a network of trails in the Mount McPherson region for the intermediate riders, Flowdown for example, and the Keystone Trail for expert riders. Following these rides, we'll hang out the Village Idiot for outdoor beers and pub food, and the 112 restaurant for something a little more upscale, and Paramjeet's Kitchen for Indian. We'll start our mornings with coffee at the Modern Bakery. Pretty much everything you need can be found within a block or 2 of Mackenzie Avenue. For other activities in or near Revelstoke, there are great hiking trails in the Mount Revelstoke National Park just north of town, and outstanding world-class alpine hiking further to the east in BC's Glacier National Park. My favorite trails are the Mount Sir Donald and Essalkund Valley hikes. For days 2 and 3, we'll drive south from Revelstoke to Nelson on Highway 23, crossing Arrow Lake on the ferry, and take lunch in Nakusp at the Cutright Deli. If weather permits, we may go for a swim in the lake to cool off after lunch. For today, we have an optional ride in New Denver where we can catch the shuttle up to Idaho Peak and rip down the Sundowner and Alamo Wagon intermediate trails, where at the bottom we get to take the cable car across Carpenter Creek. The Nakusp and New Denver region is famous for its world-class heli-skiing operations in the Selkirk and Monashee mountain ranges. Next up is Nelson, a town which has about 11,000 people and has a long history dating from the 1800s as a center of mining in the West Kootenay region. Located on the shores of the Kootenay Lake, it's now become an active tourist destination for its abundant recreational activities, funky vibe, great restaurants, and heritage homes and buildings. For day 3, if we don't do the ride in New Denver, we'll start with a fun, flowy, intermediate, fairly high trail, and follow it with a flowy but more downhill-oriented Turnstiles Trail. Fairly High is one of Nelson's newer and more versatile flow trails, easy for nearly any rider to enjoy and a great warm-up ride prior to the harder trails in the region. The trail climbs about 230 meters up from the lower parking lot on Give Out Creek Forest Road. It's a smooth trail with a modest grade and offers a real ripper for the returning descent. Turnstiles is one of Nelson's most popular trails with tabletop jumps and sweeping banked corners. It rides much like a downhill run on a ski hill, but must be accessed with a steep 500-meter climb via the lower and upper bottoms-up trails to the top of Turnstiles. And for our second day in Nelson, we'll first ride Eli Sim, an intermediate trail but more technical than what we've ridden before. Eli Sim is also one of Nelson's most popular trails. Ranked as a blue intermediate trail, it offers a combination of bumps, flow, and wooden technical features with ride-arounds. The trail features include bridges and ramps, and are quite rideable for most riders.
Yes.
Then we'll take to Paper Bag for an expert trail. Paper Bag is much steeper than anything we've ridden so far. It's one of Nelson's most notorious trails.
Meanders all over the place.
It's fun but technical trail where the fast, flowy sections are numerous but brief, interrupted by significant naturally occurring technical features, mostly large, steep rock slabs and drops. While ranked as a difficult black diamond run, it has numerous sections that will require most riders to dismount. I would consider this as a difficult black to a double black trail. Following these rides, we can hang out at Jackson's Hole and Grill, and Finley's Bar and Grill for pub drinks and pub food, and the Busaba Thai Cafe for something more exotic. For our morning coffee and breakfast, we'll start with the Oso Negro Cafe, and brunch or lunch at the Yellow Deli for something funky. For other activities, we can hike up to the Kootenay Glacier just north of Nelson, a day trip up to Caslow, or take a brief trip to the Ainsworth Hot Springs to soak our sore bodies for a while. For day 5, we'll drive a short distance to Castlegar and ride the trails in the Mary Creek region. My favorite's a loop involving Captain Kangaroo, if you're up for a big climb up merry-go-round and then over to Hail Mary. Captain Kangaroo is an expert level ride with numerous rock rolls, rock slabs, boardwalks, and steep forest sections with a few log skinnies to test your skill. It's well worth the climb up Mr. Green Jeans Trail to access the Captain.
Okay, very cool.
Lower down, Hail Mary's a fun intermediate flow trail. Hail Mary has it all. An extremely well-built trail that's generally flowy and ripping with lots of berms and a few more difficult options and features as well.
There. Got it.
Short and oh so sweet. For days 6 and 7, we'll drive another short distance to Rossland. Rossland is home to about 4,000 people and is also famous as a previous historic mining and forestry town. Now, more recently, Rossland's an outdoor enthusiast mecca, offering outstanding hiking, biking, and skiing. On day 6, for another big outing, we'll ride the Seven Summits Trail. Famous as an IMBA trail, this ride involves a shuttle to the trailhead, then a climb up from 1,600 meters to about 2,200 meters where we gain the alpine level and begin an undulating descent along a ridgeline between these 7 mountains along a 30-kilometer trail. This trail earns its reputation by offering incredible sweeping views of the Rossland Range. Awarded in 2007 Trail of the Year by Bike Magazine, it's the crown jewel of the Rossland Trail Network. And on day 7, it won't get any easier. We will ride a sequence of trails covering Whiskey on the Rocks, Whiskey, and Green Door. Whiskey and Whiskey on the Rocks are 2 fabulous expert-level technical trails. Some would say the best in Rossland. After a brief climb, Whiskey on the Rocks proceeds to fall away with a series of testing rock slabs and bluffs that require good bike handling skills and a touch of courage. Line choice and flow is essential to linking all features.
Oh, there's your view. Look at that. Nice.
You might want to bring your knee and elbow pads for this ride segment. The Whiskey section is mostly fast, sinuous single track, peppered with stunts and jumps, and the occasional rock slab.
Nice.
For those looking for something less challenging, we can ride the intermediate trail system just north of downtown Rossland. We will start our mornings in Rossland at the Alpine Grid Coffee House and wind up our day at the Rossland Beer Company for après ride beers, and dine at the Flying Steam Shovel for pub food, and Idji's restaurant for more upscale dining, or the Mook Thai Lounge if you want something more exotic. If you're interested in camping, my favorite provincial campsites for the destinations are Martha Creek in Revelstoke, Kokanee Creek in Nelson, Syringa in Castlegar, and Champion Lakes near Rossland. In future destination ride videos, I will cover Sedona, Moab, and the Vancouver, Squamish, Whistler region, so please stay tuned. Well, that's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching. See you next time.